hello, and welcome to the 1987 podcast. I am your host, Token5678, and here is my co-host.
Hi, I'm the Static Fox. Welcome back to another episode of 1987. In this episode, we will be discussing our personal FNaF projects. Now, I believe in the past, Token has said that he likes to code and all of that, so would you like to tell us more about that?
I would love to. You have already gotten so much of it already, but for the viewers, this is a very personal project to me. It is a multiplayer 1v4 FNaF game where you can play with your friends. When I was a lot younger, I'm guessing a lot more people also thought about this of wanting, that want of a multiplayer FNaF game that they can play with friends. And that's the general gist. It's very much inspired on old FNaF 1, FNaF 2 fanon, and the fierce side of things, and how it was growing up with FNaF, at least for me. It's a tough one to make.
I will say...
roles, yeah?
If you don't mind me adding to that, I love the concept of diving back into old fanon, and how, especially because FNaF 2 was such an experience that shaped so much of modern FNaF. And I think it's really cool to kind of build off of that,
Agreed, fully. It's such a thing that doesn't get talked about for some good reason on some of the things.
It's just like, we've moved on from it, and that's so sad.
Rest in peace, old designs. It's so cool, and I'm happy with the designs I have for the characters. I'll get more in depth on that later, as there's definitely a better point where that can be inserted. But the game consists of two roles, a spirit role, which is like one of the main possessed animatronics you can pick from, like Golden Freddy, the puppet, stuff like that. It is that person versus 4 guards that are in their separate locations that have to collaborate, get through the night, get through all 5 nights versus this spirit. And it's been really fun to make because when it's so hard to make a multiplayer FNaF game. I'm guessing that's why we haven't gotten one in almost 10 years now. Hopefully, I'll make it by the time it gets 10 years. I would be disappointed. Yeah, if I didn't. It's been very, very fun to make. Its main selling point is customizability. The spirit role can pick the 4 animatronics they want to bring versus the animatronics. It's pretty much just multiplayer Ultimate Custom Night in a way. In a way, not really, but a good way to think about it. It's very funky, and I enjoy really making it. But I've heard that you also have a personal FNaF product that you work on a lot and matters a lot to you. Would you like to go on in depth?
So, it's a very similar vein, and again, this is more directed towards the viewers out there, because you've already received such an earful about it.
Yeah.
I...
Love it.
I'm trying my best to write, my own work of fanfiction, that kind of deals more with a lot of the, FNaF 2 sides of things, and while it will span, the entirety of the FNaF timeline, going even way back before any of the games, all the way to William Afton's kind of experience first starting in creating Fredbear's with Henry. It'll go from there all the way up to the roughly about the Pizza Sim end of the timeline, where we'll kind of see that whole plot kind of close out a little bit. But where it really sticks, and where the whole meat of the story comes from, is from FNaF 2. FNaF 2 has always been my favorite game, and honestly, it was originally going to be so much more spread out than it currently is, but this little creature right here inspired me to focus it so much more on the guards and the way that they interact with each other rather than just big vague plot points and William Afton ruining everything. It's just like
The guards are so interesting.
they are.
As
They
a
really
topic.
are. And it's like it's it's sad that they don't get nearly as focused on as they used to in how people kind of
100%.
perceived them and stuff. And like Vanessa is okay, but compared to what we used to have, you know, she used
At
to be
least in
so much better.
fandom, yeah.
Yeah. Just
It's
compared to
so-
yeah, it's really sad to me that there's so much good things down here and they just don't get talked over anymore. No one ever kind of reflects back to them, you know?
Yeah, it's so old fanon and the old, how much it was back then in FNaF 1 and FNaF 2, at least for me, thinking back on it. It was very much everyone centering on these characters, these fanon characters. There's nothing to say for them in the real games other than Phone Guy. But the community just attaching to them, adding personality,
Yeah.
centering, some for the better, some for the worse.
Whoa.
We don't need to go into the Vincent debacle. Gosh, that is a...
That can be a whole topic on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Just discussing Vincent.
God, yeah. So, what are you exactly taking from the old fan? At least, if what you can think of that really centering on, that you can say that was really inspired by fanon for your fanfic.
A big thing that was kind of inspired is a lot of it is kind of it's been removed now that we have kind of grown as a fandom and more of the story has been revealed and all of that. But it's also just kind of like a big part about where it takes place in my world is just it focuses so much on Michael Afton and his relationship with the other guards. It kind of like goes across throughout and again so much is centered just exclusively in FNaF 2 and the way that he interacts with other guards, especially between Jeremy. That's the part that I'm most excited
from what
for.
I've heard, what I've read is so...
Yeah, I've shared so many travels with
God.
him, and because I need to know that I'm doing okay, and
You are doing amazingly.
I'm so worried that it's going to be so angsty. Because, like, there's so much fluff.
But
and, like, yeah, sorry, continue.
you have, from what I've read, there's been a lot more. It's so much from, at least what I've read, there's so much fluff dispersed between.
There
and
is.
It's such lovingly, it makes you care for these characters. At least for me, I adore FNaF, so I don't know what the casual viewer would really see. But I adore what you've written, and you have such a way of writing your scenes that really immerse you. And just, God, I adore reading it every time you send me something about it. It's so...
I think it's so... Sorry, you continue.
You wanna go off?
I think it's so interesting that, like, I crave so much fluff in the story, and it's so sad because I'm sure anyone who's familiar with FNaF knows where it's all going, but just even though like you know what's going to happen, just the build up to it and seeing these people who deserve so much more than what they get, and it's just like seeing the terrible hand that they've been dealt by the entirety of Fazbear Entertainment and just having to deal with that and grow along with each other and trying to just manage being alive when they're fighting for their lives against both a company that doesn't care about them, but to then have each other to rely on and to grow stronger with each other like that. And to just be able to rely on these other people to just make it through the end of the night and have people to just be there with you. And I think that like so much fluff is important, you know?
You need to, like, have reason to care for these
Oh,
characters.
definitely.
And by the way, viewer, if you're watching this from the future, go check out the fanfic. Will probably be in the description if it's out by the time you see this.
It'll
Go
be a
read it.
while
Go
before
enjoy.
I even start releasing a chapter. Because right now I'm just
100%.
writing so many various scenes, but it'll definitely be posted down in the description whenever it does eventually release. Hopefully I finish it. Anyways.
Same for my project.
Yeah,
It
and
will
can I just say,
maybe be down there.
I think, like, I think it's, again, so cool because your project ties into also seeing these people grow together when put in really tough situations with each other.
Oh yeah.
And just being
The amount
able
of
to
single
bond.
the amount of single player content I have planned for this game, it really isn't just multiplayer. The the unlocks, the everything. You have to go through these characters. You don't have to read the lore. You don't have to see the lore if you don't want to, but it is there for a possibility if you enjoy reading lore. It is a revision of the FNaF lore in a way. It goes out of its way to add some new things, change some things to make more sense in the world of the multiplayer aspect. But this little gremlin inspired me to go a lot more harder on the writing for these characters. I already had a general idea, but it's been so much more finalized due to you, due to your very inspiring writing, and I want to get better at writing just because of reading your writing. It's such an inspiring thing. It's just nice.
And again, to tie into that, see, like, having to playtest what you already have, it's so cool to see you build, like, basically rebuild the first FNaF game from the ground up. And seeing how far that you can take this idea. And again, you've inspired me to completely rearrange how this fic was going to come out originally. And you've given me so much inspiration to work on it. I don't think if you ever told me about this project that it would have gone anywhere. I don't think I would have ever touched where I had it written. I don't think I would have ever, like, revisited any of it. I think it would have just sat there because I didn't know where to go with it.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. I would have not gone into this project as much as I have. And, like, as we were saying with the fluff and the fanfic, this is turning into fluff. Where's the angst coming? My God.
For real.
It's so I don't know, it's so inspiring to have a person that shares your interests.
Oh, definitely.
A viewer, if you have an interest, go tell people about it. Go find out your way. You will find people who like the same thing that you do, and you will talk. You will go through life.
The funniest part about this, and being on a podcast with this gremlin here, is we haven't known each other for, like, hardly any time.
Well, actually, like, really know each other. We've been acquaintances for, like,
we've been
over
acquaintances.
a few years. But never really talked.
We never talked to each other, and a lot of that was just kind of the intimidation factor of just talking to new people. And it's crazy because we've only started talking to each other because I was just hanging around some of my friends, and I cracked up a FNaF joke. And then it just kind of all started to spiral from there. And now we're here on a podcast together. Which is still a crazy thought. Isn't it, though? And it's so important to talk to people about your interests, because you don't know unless you actually talk to them about where this can lead. Like,
literally, yeah.
Again, not every friendship has to end up becoming a podcast or anything. No. That's not what I'm getting across.
Yeah. You know what, viewer? If this inspires you to make anything with your friends, go do it. If you have that idea and want to, but it's sometimes it just ain't happening the perfectest way. And this isn't obviously the most perfect podcast. This is just two friends messing around,
yeah,
chilling out.
We have no idea what we're doing.
I'm surprised you're still watching, viewer. This you've got through
For
episode
real.
1, presumably.
Yeah.
It's so. You'll probably hear us talk about our projects throughout the days and podcast episodes. Though we are recording 2 per session currently.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how different we are in a week. And
Yeah.
then from then a week, and then from a week, it'll be funky.
It will be, for sure.
It kind of inspires me. I don't know if it inspires you, but it inspires me to work on my project more, to get something to talk about next time.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And
Yeah.
both of our both things being so, not heavily, but pretty prominently based around the guards and fanon and all that. It's been so interesting to see what we've came up ourselves, what has changed, what has stayed the same, what's happening. It isn't just these old fanon characters from the just being written about a bunch of years later. It feels like we really made these characters our own, even in our own separate projects, though they do have similarities, as the inspiration is real.
Yeah, and it's like sorry, continue.
No, go on. No.
It's really interesting, especially because you have inspired me so much with trying to make yours multiplayer, and like looking through that and just kind of seeing that now you actually have to give these guards a personality to them to make them interesting. And so much of that inspired me to take my own interpretation of these fanon guards who were so old at this point. And to have to take that and look at that and see, what can I do to make this a new concept? What can I do to make this different than what it is now, And to just look at that and be able to change what's already been written and, like, have to go through that. Like, for instance, one of the most interesting characters that I'd argue both of us have helped create each other is Fritz Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Fritz Smith is, like, why
one
don't
of
you
my
talk on
favorite.
that? Because you've been, like, the main creator behind this interpretation.
It was just thinking about how FNaF 2, and it's literally like the night 6, night 7 guard. I don't remember exactly. 7. Okay. And how much it's in this theoretical existence where all three guards are separate. Depending on what you theorize, go off, theorist people. But having in this idea, having someone just be on full difficulty, popping off the first time, at least in the game, it's been so cool to build that into her character. It's been so interesting. I don't know if it's the same for yours. I don't recall exactly, but she is the manager of the main guards.
I kept her the manager too.
Yeah, it adds that, it gives her that reason why she pops off on this night.
Can I just say that was so smart too? I wouldn't have thought about that.
Thank you.
Because I don't see these, like, I never considered Freddy's as, like, an actual place that had employees and needed people to, like, run it. And, like, that really helped me figure out stuff. It was so helpful.
It's so interesting. It's literally such a mutual inspiration. It's so cool. It's so neat. Like, gosh, it's so, I could go on forever.
Honestly.
It's really, really neat to see how much, and you've definitely inspired me with my projects, Jeremy and Michael's relationship, with how much you went in depth with that, at least so far from what I've read. It's definitely inspired me the most of what I could write for them as their dynamic. And I think by the end of these 2 projects, there's gonna be a lot of
Oh.
similarities.
Yeah, they're
But, we'll
like,
see what happens.
especially because we talk about them so much with each other and we bounce so many ideas.
It's literally, yeah.
They are going to
Mm-hmm.
pretty much be in almost the same universe, just with different events happening.
Oh, that's actually a really interesting idea.
Yeah, that is,
It's
isn't
something
it?
to think about in the future.
It is.
It's so quirky. But to go back onto a topic that we brought up vaguely,
Mm-hmm.
the Fanon
Oh.
guards, the Fanon designs.
Mm-hmm.
You said you in last episode that you came in around FNaF 4 teasers.
FNaF
Did
3.
you have any prior or FNaF 3? Sorry. Did you have any knowledge about the Fanon designs before you joined, or
I
did you ever
not.
really get to think about them? Okay.
So I'll go into kind of more about my personal relationship with FNAF because that's kind of where it's so
Mm-hmm.
important. I first learned about FNAF, and it was really still the only thing that actually got me interested in learning more about it was it's been so long seeing that video.
Oh yeah.
And that was like basically like sped, like it basically talked about the entire FNAF lore at the time, and then I started to kind of talk with that about my brother about like finding this, and so then we both got really excited whenever the FNAF 3 trailer had released and we got to see it. I didn't actually start getting more into the Fanon stuff until like long after FNAF 3, but not quite around FNAF 4. Just a little bit before, but it's still kind of in that general area was when I started to look into more Fanon interpretations, which in my form came through like fanfiction and that kind of stuff. That was more or less my first entrance into kind of what a lot of the fandom thought about these like guards and stuff, and seeing those interpretations, it was really funky, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy. But that's
It's,
kind of
I
about
didn't
like where
really
I
go
learned.
into the fanfics. When I was mostly like comic dubs and art for me. God, the comic dubs. I'm glad it was mostly comic dubs because sometimes if you search some of the characters nowadays, the Google images aren't great, and not like a bad art way, in like just a uncomfortable way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't show up much in the comic dubs, thank God, from what I would watch. And you also brought up an interesting topic of your connection with your brother with that. I had a very similar thing of growing up with FNAF with my brother. Though around FNAF 3, that's when that is 100% when we drifted off from each other FNAF wise and just general interest wise. Which is so interesting because that's about when you were starting to creep in into the fandom and the games. It's so crazy because I have this so specific memory of the FNAF 3 trailer dropping while I was at my father's house. And I brought it, I put it on my laptop that I bring. Brother wasn't having it. I was so miffed. But it was such a moment. I didn't really focus on the trailer due to that, but I still love FNAF today. And it was very, petty stuff back then. Brotherly stuff. It's just so interesting to see how much FNAF has affected my life and key things that I remember.
Absolutely.
It's
and
so
I just
interesting.
It really is. And just kind of tying into that, I also distinctly remember where I was when the first FNAF trailer had kind of dropped. I was sitting with my brother, we were getting ready for school and we were eating breakfast together, and he had shown me the trailer, and it was so like it was interesting because if I've never seen anything before like that, and I was just starting to get into this. And of course I have the
Mhm.
like the luck of my brother never really dropped out of FNaF up until like around the pizza sim kind of time frame. He kind of stuck with it all
Mhm.
the way out until sister location for me.
Popping
Um,
off. Popping off.
but like to remember like that moment still so distinctly, and like seeing the particularly when Springtrap was twitching all on the floor, being able to still see that so
Mhm.
clearly from that moment, it's crazy to think about,
Mhm.
you know?
It really is. It
To just
really, really is.
It really is. And it's crazy just how much of a formative experience that was for me. And like
Mhm.
um of course with FNAF being my special interest, it makes it so much more worse. But at times that was kind of all FNAF was for me. It was kind of like just a way of escaping and being able to dive into something so big and important for me, and like seeing something and like
Mhm.
eventually becoming, especially with stuff like this, becoming part of it myself and being able to, and this is why like having this podcast is so important for me personally, to be able to create the content that a younger me would have died to have done at that point, to be able to put that out in the world and to become my own kind of person here, and to just be more of a part of it than what I just like someone sitting off on the sidelines. And that this is like so important to me, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is such a interesting topic, especially how much I relate to that.
Yeah.
On a lot of ends, like the FNAF project that I am doing is fully based on giving little old younger me what what I dreamed. And it's so neat that we are here, that we
Isn't
are
it though?
putting something in the world that not many people will see, but I hope a viewer that it's something to think about. Something to think about. Uh, yeah, that's really all I could really say on it. It's so
Right? It's
such a
so
personal thing.
crazy. It's so
Mhm.
personal, and that's like what makes it so weird, is to just really be able to take this and do it like your own, especially now that we've like grown up with this thing, and like being able to kind of take that and make it our own and put our own little spins on it
Mhm.
now is so crazy to me to think about, that we're at a stage where we can do that and be able to not only like do it but also talk about it with other people and share our creations. That's like like it's so inspiring for me to think about, you know? It's like it just all comes full
Agreed.
circle.
Agreed. It really is like it's so. I'll probably get emotional in the future.
Oh,
um,
definitely.
it's so. It's such an interesting topic. I can't believe we've gone so personal for the episode too. But you know what,
Right?
folks? You're being strapped in here.
Yeah,
You're
you're
in our personal ultimate custom night hell. Um,
yeah.
and we are here to raise the AI values of every animatronic ever.
Oh, you're straight to
And now you're gonna be
20.
infected. Yep. God,
Straight to
it's
20. All
so
50.
interesting. Um,
It's, I didn't expect to get
so
so
with
personal
FNAF,
and. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
continue.
with FNAF projects, I know for the fact that you have other projects and that you
Oh
are thinking
boy.
about making videos of those projects on a separate
I
channel that
do,
will be
yes.
linking below.
Yes, we'll
Uh,
totally link it below. Um, as I mentioned in our introductions from the first episode, I am a cosplay maker, or at least an aspiring one at this point. Um, I've already made one cosplay of Vanny because I just love her so much. But I've already made her, and recently, because I love FNaF 2 so much, I've been inspired kind of to make a new cosplay coming up, which is by far my most ambitious project yet. I'm hoping
It is so lovely to hear about.
I've been spamming this creature so much with just ideas and thoughts of what to do. When I'm not talking about my fanfic, we're talking about Mangle and creating her, because I just love, I just can't wait to bring, especially when I was younger, I would have killed to have any FNaF cosplay, but to bring Mangle specifically, to just have her like that, and that'd be, I would die if I knew what I was up to today, you know? And
yeah, literally, yeah.
And it's just so crazy to
100%,
me.
100%.
But of course, I will be making videos on kind of the work in progress and how she's shaping up, because just, I think it'd be cool to kind of sort of vlog the creation of him and all of that, and kind of showing her to the world pretty much as she gets formed by my hands.
You're very, you're resurrecting this creature from the depths of a video game into this very real world. It's gonna be so interesting.
He's gonna be a real
watching
boy.
The videos.
Good to know that someone will. At least one person.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I have seen sketches. Oh, y'all are prepared for a treat.
I just hope that everything ends up working out. Would you like to say anything more? Go watch the videos.
Go watch the videos.
Give me internet clout, please.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I gotta get that clout. But she's such a project, and I will say that I also have so many more cosplay projects with FNaF that are just kind of being thought of right now, and I'll probably talk about those more in a later episode or whatever, but just Mangle is going to be one of the biggest things that I've ever created, and it's nice to kind of know that, just kind of tying into what I said earlier, I would have killed to either have owned or seen a cosplay like this, and to just, especially now that so many people are starting to get back into Five Nights at Freddy's with Security Breach and stuff, and hopefully with the FNaF movie releasing about the time I'll finish her, it'd be nice to give people that same experience of just being able to see something like that, and to go to conventions with her and stuff, and to just be able to have him in person. It's so exciting.
It's gonna be amazing.
I can't wait for it.
It's gonna be so... I hope I'm there when you bring him out. I don't know if I will. We'll see in a few months. I am also have my own YouTube channel that'll also be in the description. Thinking about making devlogs for my FNaF project. We'll see. Devlogs seem very like a lot of work, and I am just a little guy. You'll hear about them if I make them. Same thing with what Static said. It's so cool to see your childhood dreams come true in a way.
Sorry. One day we'll stop cutting each other off. Can I just say, building on that, I think that's why I'm also so invested into your project too, because I would have loved, especially when I was younger and had so many friends that were involved in FNaF, I would have loved to be able to have something that was multiplayer, to be able to play with them like that, and to just have that experience together. It would have been crazy, you know?
I hope people enjoy it, yeah.
You'll
I
have
really hope.
me, bare minimum.
Oh, yeah. I'll grab you, clone you, 3 more times, boom. We have a full party,
Yeah.
full party.
Hey.
Hey, it will be very, very interesting. And I'm sure, you viewers, you will be hearing us talk about these projects over the months, learning how we overcome problems, how we get past things, and it'll be a ride. It'll be a
Definitely.
ride.
You will absolutely hear more about that from us. That's kind of why we mentioned it so early on, because we'll probably say it so much in passing, and usually it's not a good thing to just kind of leave people out in the dark about that kind of stuff. Just, like, to just have this video to look back on and kind of see what these projects are about. And just kind of build off of that.
I think this is, unless you have anything else to say, I think this is a great ending point.
Yeah.
A bit shorter of an episode, but I don't think we should put anything really more into it. Just because I think we've talked about the general idea of the personal stuff.
Yeah. Again, I didn't expect to get so personal in only the second episode. But, man,
agreed.
That's something, though.
Would you like to exit us out? Get us out of here.
Yeah, so this has been episode 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as usual, things like our Discord will be down in the description below, as well as both of our YouTube channels, where hopefully we'll be posting more about these projects that you've heard us talk about. And as always, this has been 1987. We hope to see you again.
Goodbye.
See ya!